Hello everyone, I'm delighted to welcome all of you on behalf of Religions for Peace UK Interfaith Youth Network. I would like to thank all of you for your precious time. I'm Edam Allah Hussein, coordinator of the Religions for Peace Interfaith UK Youth Network, and here I would like to particularly thank the Religions for Peace UK chair of the Board of Trustees of Religions for Peace UK, Jaineel, and the rest of trustees for establishing the Religions for Peace UK Youth Network program. So today's overview is the panel discussion as well. So after my brief presentation about Religions for Peace UK and today's meaning for us, we will have our 6 speakers talking about their religion and its connection with the environment. And then we will follow up with breakout rooms, which we would like to hear from you, your perspective, and explore your distinctive aspects in these regards. And then we will come back and have our question and answer and the discussion around this topic. And then around 8:30 p.m. we are aiming to wrap this meeting up. So Interfaith Youth Network is an organizational way for ongoing multi-religious collaboration. Is supported by the Global Religions for Peace Youth Network and the European Interfaith Youth Network. The network works with young people between the ages of 18 and 32, as well as we are supported with Religions for Peace UK Board of Trustees. The Religions for Peace Interfaith Youth Network enables young people from different faith communities to tackle challenging issues facing young people in the UK, promotes trust, respect, and genuine care for all members, maintains the distinct faith tradition through cooperation without compromising spiritual beliefs, and provides a safe environment to young people to express opinions freely without fear. These sentences you see on your screen right now, they are our aims and our vision as Religions for Peace UK Interfaith Youth Network. We emphasize service to all. We believe that youth is present and not only future, and we call all different faiths to act together for common action. The Religions for Peace UK Interfaith Youth Network highlighted serious areas of focus for action. The environmental issues, particularly climate change, was one of them. The impact of COVID-19 and the well-being of young people. Inequality, particularly caused by racism and gender discrimination, was another one. Financial concerns of young people and their needs for future. Job insecurity and unemployment of young individuals was another big concern in UK. And last but not least, the needs of the young people within disadvantaged communities and deal with poverty. Now I would like to grab your attention and highlight today's meaning for us, because the aim of this event is also highlighting World Environment Day, which is coming soon and is on 5th of June. So since 1974, World Environment Day has been started celebrating as an annual event on every 5th of June to raise the importance of the healthy and green environment in the human lives, to solve the issues of the environment by implementing some positive environmental actions by governments, organizations, and individuals. This year's World Environment Day theme has been selected to be ecosystem restoration and is being held in Pakistan. On the question of the environment, however, there is widespread agreement. All the faiths acknowledge the need for environmental stewardship, and their holy texts urge adherents to be caretakers of the earth and its biodiversity. All the humans have a responsibility towards the environment. Our duty is to do what we all can to ensure we are environmentally responsible. Solidarity for many different backgrounds together, and we are coming together with starting a discussion to try to solve today's world's problems as young individuals. The important fact is that environmental issues concern justice, integrity, good governance, and honesty, and take the most needed necessary steps. It's not only about maintaining the environment, but is bigger than that, and we would like to work together in this. It's important that people of faith, the leaders of interfaith, to come together to help for the future security in well-being, employment, and survival, as well as environment. This is going to be the major concern for now and future. And today is the start of a conversation for what we can do together and initiate action. You will see from the presentations about dynamic initiatives that are taken by young people. There will be other follow-up presentations which will include people from other faiths not speaking today. Time hasn't enabled us to include all the leading faiths, but we will be having a follow-up session to include those from other important spiritual traditions. So now I would like to start our discussions with our speakers.
Hello everyone, namaste. Before my internet breaks down, I'm just going to try and not share my video because otherwise it'll throw me out. I mean, this event is quite exciting, where we have everyone, collectively coming together for this shared vision. Especially, I know, we've all heard this word more than often in the last year and a half, turbulent times, growing imbalance. But again, I think, we're us, everyone, humans, trying to find an answer or, something which says, hang on, how can, we still live in a harmonious world? Where do we see this? Is it looking like an impossibly utopian vision? Where do we find that divinity? Where do we find that inner peace? Is it impossible to achieve it? But then again, having gone back and looking inside, and when you have this collective wisdom, you say, okay, a harmonious world will begin with a harmonious inner world. So when we explore ourselves, our spiritual quest, that is where the religious angle, or should we say, the teachings come in. Again, climate change, on the other hand, is such a big challenge. Beat everyone. We need to be doing something about it. It's adding a lot of stress to our societies and everything around us. These shifting weather patterns are increasingly threatening food production. Rising sea levels, increasing the risk of catastrophic flooding. So all this, again, when you take it on a global scale, can become unprecedented in scale. I mean, as a practicing Hindu, I believe that Hinduism, it provides the core teachings, which can guide one's, through life to create that inner peace, not just for yourself, but, for the collective peace, of all of us in this world, where we can live in harmony and yet balance everything with our natural world. Hindu philosophies and, the principles, they are built around trying to offer and create a world environment of peace and respect nature. So again, these things where you live with nature in tandem, because human beings, we are not separate from nature. We are linked by spiritual, psychological, and physical bonds with the elements around us. So again, those elements or forces of nature. Again, as I was saying, everything, including, the tree, the life, various orders of life, like plants, trees, forests, and animals. Again, the core takeaway, I would say, is to be, live in tandem, earth friendly, personal frugality, lower power consumption, alternative energy, sustainable food production, and vegetarianism. All you can use evolving technologies to environment, which makes in tandem with nature, according to our own religious principles, which we all of speakers whom you wonderfully put it down. Yeah, that is me.
My name is Dawod, and I'll tell you about my Ramadan plastic project. And when we think of plastic pollution, we think of the ocean pollution, the plastic that is dumped in the ocean. But what we don't know is that 40% of our plastic pollution is that's dumped on the oceans caused by single-use plastic. This includes disposable cups, plastic bags, and plastic straws. We also don't know that what happens to our plastic once they end up in our ocean. And we know that plastic can last a very long time, and due to the direct sunlight and waves, these plastic crumbles into tiny plastics that then they are then consumed by marine lives. Today, these microplastics are found in our drinking waters and the air we breathe. Recently, Greenpeace, an international organization that focuses on global environmental solution, has exposed a shocking discovery on UK plastic waste exports. Whether plastics are dumped in the ocean or exported, studies show a harmful impact of plastic to humans and particularly the children. These include breathing complications, sleeping difficulties, and feeling nausea. However, plastic also plays a positive role in our lives. Plastic food packaging prevents zoonotic diseases spreading from host animals to humans, like the coronavirus. Plastic also enables people with disabilities to have normal life and participate in the Olympics through having bionic limbs. Our lives savings are secure with our bank cards. We are able to travel anywhere in the world while communicating with our loved ones. Plastic makes the impossible possible. At what cost? Bearing all of this in mind, the Ramadan Plastic Project was not about eliminating plastic usage, but rather to reflect on our plastic usage. Ramadan is a month of reflection, a month of awareness, and a month of improvement. During this project, we wanted to achieve just that with our plastic usage. The project is innovative as it allows individuals to self-reflect on their plastic waste and scale how much plastic each individual contributes toward the climate crisis. In other words, we ask individuals to take action. This project was a team effort, and some of our team members, including Dr. Mariam, a PhD holder in research in environment and marine toxicology, Dr. Mustafa, a postdoctoral researcher at the Jennifer Institute of Oxford University. We also had other amazing team members from various areas of expertise who all contributed toward this ambitious project. With a strong team like this and a very ambitious project, I present to you our findings. After launching our initiative with 0 followers on our social media, our best day reached 620, 366, and 55 people on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn respectively. On an average day, the participants reported 7 to 8 plastic packages with their food. Those participants that have downloaded our links or the diary and then submitted their result showed a decrease of plastic package food during the whole month. The most surprising discovery during our research was that on our online we had fewer response from our online participants, and on most days it was quite normal to see many clicks, people clicking on our links but not responding as we had hoped. So we have reached out to those participants asking them. They told us that they were extremely tired during the end of fasting time, and this question was more of meditating questions. Knowing what we know now, We have learned from our experience, and this has taught us a valuable lesson that we have taken on board. I am committed to this project to turn it into a movement. I would be grateful for any support and advice to make the process more effective. We are planning continuously with this initiative, particularly with schools and local communities, to create awareness on plastic usage and recycling habits. Green sustainable jobs are the future, creating awareness and inspiring innovative recycling projects and alternative solutions. Knowing what we know now and learning a lot from our first attempt, we have structured our program and now excited to present to you our 7-day project, which you can download the link that I have commented on the comment section. You can also download this from our social media as well. In this challenge, there are 5 daily questions to answer. This will help you learn more about your plastic usage during the World Environment Week. There are hidden hyperlinks in some of these images that will direct you to topics that most plastic users are unaware of. If you are lucky enough to find some of these hidden images, we encourage you to learn more on these areas. When you do submit your result, this will allow us to generate another report to your advantage. We would be happy to answer your questions during the Q&A sessions. Thank you.
Hello everyone. Sure, I only have one slide. Okay, well, so today I want to talk about a Buddhist take on sustainable consumption. So in my master's I wrote a dissertation on this, so I've kind of compiled things into a little speech. So sustainable consumption is often portrayed as a technical matter in developed countries. We ought to recycle more and buy products that have been sourced and produced sustainably. In this talk, with the help of Buddhist knowledge, I want to challenge this understanding because I think it is too superficial for the depth of the issues that we as societies currently face. It's clear that we absolutely need technology to mitigate the negative impact we have on our environment. If everyone lived like the average consumer in the UK, we would need 2.6 Earths worth of resources to sustain the global population. Resource use has to be more efficient. However, historically, gains in technological efficiency have resulted in the so-called rebound effect. So that means efficiency gains are balanced out by increased consumption. And we can imagine that in the form of screens who used to consume a lot of power and now don't, but now they are found everywhere in cars or on the tube, stuff like that. So, and this is not often mentioned in countries' roadmaps to sustainability, this challenge. And also currently more than half of the UK's plastic waste is shipped to other countries who often do not have the infrastructure to deal with this waste. So it's quite clear that without behavioural change, we will not be able to overcome this issue. And I think this is an illuminating example how technology cannot be our only answer to the climate crisis. From a Buddhist point of view, the climate crisis, as all other problems, are fundamentally a matter of the mind and resulting behaviour. The root cause of our suffering, as the Buddha taught it, is dukkha, which also means dissatisfaction. And that is primarily caused by tanha, which means craving or desiring for something to be this way or the other way. In the context of consumerism, tanha is the attempt to fulfill desires through consumption as the primary means to contentment and happiness in life. In this book, Buddhist Economics, Venerable Payutto draws a distinction between a desire for pleasure or immediate gratification and a desire for long-term satisfaction. They can coincide but are not the same. And we can see this, how eating sugar might be a pleasurable experience, but excessive indulgence probably causes us health problems. And the choice of short-term gains over long-term losses is one that we have to face with the environment as well. We can see how agricultural methods aimed at maximum output leave the soil almost completely unfruitful down the line. Buddhism is not alone in understanding that the desire for long-term well-being is really spiritual in nature. We want to belong and connect with others. Consuming presents an imperfect way to belong and connect, because trends constantly move, and to stay connected through consumption means to keep consuming new trends. It is quite a restless endeavour. But doesn't this contradict the meaning of sustainable and sustainable consumption? Or, as David Lloyd put it, why is more always better when we can never have enough? Consumption can help us to find contentment and spiritual fulfillment, but this is done by means of discipline and restraints from this point of view, not by rushing from one desire to the next. Sustainable consumption, this centers about consuming the minimum necessary to live a content life and meeting our needs for well-being in other ways, such as producing and creating, but also in non-consuming and non-producing. Firstly, also part of the same process, and we cannot only create value for consumers. We must realize that production and creativity are as important in enabling workers to find spiritual fulfillment as consumption is. We must find ways to make jobs less repetitive and more stimulating, and this could be done, for example, by allowing workers to experience all corners of their business to get a better feel for their product and service. And then secondly, non-consuming and non-producing sound a little impractical, but they are part of the discipline and restraint that I mentioned before. Just really hang out with friends and sitting in a park, and meditating and praying, or simply playing sports and the other small pleasures of life are not about consuming and producing. They are spiritual, they connect and make us feel where we belong. So in the end, sustainable consumption is more than a technical challenge. It really means to rethink the role that consumption plays in our life. And I think this is particularly the challenge of our young generation. Thank you.
Good everyone. It's so lovely to have you all here and to be speaking about the environment from a Jain perspective. So we have one of our scriptures called the Dawod Sutra, one of our ancient scriptures, has a teaching that goes Paraspo Graho Jivanam. And what this means is that all life is bound together by mutual support and interdependence. Or, as an alternate translation, you could say that every soul renders a service to each other. So it's not just the human perspective or the human, just the humans that we're considering here, just humans and animals, but literally all living beings. Right? Because in Jainism, the concept of jiva or life, jiva means life, not only extends to humans, animals, but all forms of life, including plants, including little, insects, like even a tiny, scary little spider, the ones that cause most of you to run around your homes in fear, running away. All of those kind of creatures are considered jiva, and every single one of them values its life, right? We know that. We see that when we go to get that spider out of our house. I certainly hope everyone does it that way and not just hoovers it up or stamps on it or something. But when we go even to take it out with like a cup or something, you'll see that tiny little creature trying to run as fast as it can away from you because it's fearful. It's fearful of its life. Every creature values its life, and that's the foremost principle that Jainism conveys, that because every creature values its life, it's our responsibility as humans, because humans have the intellectual capability to save as much life as possible. And when you have that attitude that yes, we are, we have that intellect, like a lion can't differentiate between whether a deer is more valuable or a human is more valuable. To him, both are just food, right? Whereas we have, the capability to differentiate between life forms, and acknowledge that even trees possess life. And it's that kind of thinking that then makes ecological harmony a natural consequence. Thinking that myself and the environment are exactly the same. Because when you're identifying with the environment and with other beings just as extensions of yourself, that's what then leads to environmental harmony. And so, because when it comes to climate change, we all know what the issue is, right? We see it all the time. We've watched documentaries on this. We've read about it. We know that higher temperatures are wreaking havoc on the ability of plants and animals to survive in environments, because these environments are changing faster than species can adapt. We know that tens of thousands of plants and animal species are going extinct every single year due to habitat loss, due to changing climate. We know that forests are getting drier. We know that wildfires are becoming increasingly like more prevalent and destructive. We can see this effect of climate change every day, just around us, right? And it's what can we do, as you know, not just in the Jain religion, not in the Jain tradition, but also as human beings, intellectual beings. What can we do, right? And this is the call to action we will discuss obviously later on in the breakout rooms, but I just want to give you guys some food for thought as to what the kind of things that we discuss within our groups, right? It's a simple act of merely stopping to think, right? Where does everything that I use come from? For example, take like the simple case of like a simple pencil, yeah? There's something that you probably use every single day. Do you guys know where that comes from? Do you know how many raw materials are required to make that little pencil? I didn't know. Okay, when I first read this, I was like, wow. So you start first with the trees that are chopped over and then transported over. These are then cut into like little pencil shapes and thickness. Then the graphite needs to be mined and transported over. This graphite's then mixed with clay, and then there's ammonium hydroxide that's used, and there's like lacquer that gets applied. I mean, I don't even know the ingredients of lacquer, right? We don't know the growers of castor beans and refiners of castor oil. These are all part of the pencil making process. So when you realize that something as simple as a pencil has so many things in the background, that's when you start thinking about your impact on the environment, right? And you actually start like reflecting, okay, and it was as Finn said, living within my means. Do I need so many things, or can I survive with just X, Y, and Z? And that's the principle of Jainism, is to try and survive, live, within our means, live as with little harm to the environment as possible. You're never going to get to a place where you cause no harm to the environment, right? Because just by merely, we're householders at the end of the day. We have to do certain things that might not always be good for the environment. But the aim is to minimize it as much as we can. First thing I think that is necessary for all of us to do is to be informed. Yeah, so the more you guys know, the better it is, because it leaves us all better equipped to have these conversations around action with friends, with family, with people that we might be able to influence. So it's on us to get ourselves clued up with facts, stay up to date with relevant news, and then we can work out what to do. So traveling responsibly, that's a huge thing, right? That's one of the most efficient ways of lowering your environmental impact, is just by traveling responsibly. So whenever you can, you choose a more sustainable way to get from A to B, or walk or cycle. You'll burn calories as well, right? Eating sustainably, now that's a huge thing, right? And in Jainism, you'll know that our diet makes up a lot of the discussion. So in Jainism, diet is a huge part of Jainism, right? Because you'll know that all Jains are naturally vegetarians, because ahimsa is at the forefront of our religion, which means we cannot cause harm to any other living being, right? And I know that's difficult to transition over to that sort of a diet, but if that fills you with fear, then at least you can start small, because a vegetarian vegan diet in most cases is better for the environment than a flexitarian or a non-vegetarian diet, when you consider things like greenhouse gas emissions, land use, freshwater use, water pollution, etc. It is a complex issue, however, so it's your personal dietary footprint that you need to consider, and there are many factors around that. So but it's good to at least know the facts behind it. So that's traveling responsibly, that's eating sustainably, and then using your voice. That's one of the most important things, right? We are the first generation to know that we're destroying the world, and we could in fact be the last that can do anything about it. So speaking up is one of the most powerful things that we can do, especially if it's to the right people.
My name is Lucy, and I'm from London. At the moment, I'm living in Brighton while I study for a Master's in Sustainable Development at the University of Sussex. And as a young person, my faith has been a big factor in me choosing to study for a master's and also in my course selection. So I'm really happy to be able to share a bit about that this evening with you. So firstly, a bit about what my faith. I've been practicing Nichiren Daishonin's Buddhism for just over 10 years now, which is the philosophy of Nam-myoho Renge Kyo. And for the same amount of time, I have been a member of the Soka Gakkai International, which is a global community of practitioners of Nichiren Buddhism. And the Soka Gakkai started in Japan 91 years ago and has in the past 60 decades or so become a global movement of social action based on Buddhist principles. So just to offer a very brief introduction to the Soka Gakkai, Soka is a Japanese term which means value creation in English, and Gakkai means society. So Soka Gakkai is also the society of value creation. And my purpose today is really to just say a little bit about an important concept in the Soka Gakkai movement, which is human revolution. Now, human revolution really lies at the heart of the Soka Gakkai movement to transform society into one of peaceful and sustainable living, and is the personal goal of each member of the Soka Gakkai. So what is human revolution? The concept of human revolution was first used by second Soka Gakkai president Josei Toda, and it describes the process of a positive inner transformation, an inner change for the better in a single person, one person becoming wiser, stronger, more compassionate. Human revolution is regarded by the Soka Gakkai as the essential first turn of the wheel towards a peaceful society and the path to achieving lasting peace and happiness. Third Soka Gakkai president and president of Soka Gakkai International, Daisaku Ikeda, illuminates the importance of human revolution in today's world in comparison to any other type of revolution in society with the following quote. Daisaku Ikeda says, "There are many kinds of revolutions: political, economic, industrial, scientific, and artistic. There are revolutions in the distribution of goods and services, in communications, and countless other spheres. Each is significant in its own way, and sometimes necessary. But whatever changes are made, if the people implementing them are selfish and lack compassion, they won't improve the world. Human revolution is the most fundamental revolution, and indeed the most essential revolution for humankind." So human revolution is concerned with the positive transformation in the foundations or the social fabric of society that is human beings themselves, and everything comes from humans. So how exactly does this human revolution take place? So it takes place through the practice of chanting Nam-myoho Renge Kyo, studying Buddhist teachings, and actively committing to and striving to do human revolution. For Nichiren Buddhists, the practice of chanting Nam-myoho Renge Kyo is how we strengthen our innate Buddha, or our inner Buddha qualities, which are courage, compassion, wisdom, creativity, and life force, all value-creating qualities. Gradually, we become wiser, stronger, and more compassionate. And through our daily practice of chanting Nam-myoho Renge Kyo and studying Buddhist teachings by ourselves and with other members of the Soka Gakkai, we are able to develop our strength and capacity to bring these Buddha qualities into every aspect of our lives: our relationship with others, our relationship with ourselves, with our friends and family, work colleagues, and to our relationships with other types of living beings on our planet, including in the environment. So when we do our human revolution, we are able to connect to our greater self, which is one with the universe and is as vast as the cosmos itself. And we are able to expand our lives and our potential to bring about change on an even wider scale. So I just want to end my contribution this evening with a very short personal experience about using my faith and practice to do my human revolution during lockdown last year. So traveling has always been a big passion of mine, and because of that, I've been able to travel to many different countries. Traveling has always been something that I've done for my own personal satisfaction and fulfillment. However, this changed during lockdown last year, when, like all of us, I found myself at home, unable to go anywhere due to the pandemic and the lockdown. I really started chanting in my bedroom to be able to create value for the world from this challenging time, and to use all of the experiences that I have accumulated from my years of traveling till date. I then decided it was a good time to study for a master's, which is something that I've wanted to do for the past 5 years, but never actually committed to. So I chose to study the Sustainable Development course because I've witnessed firsthand the need for sustainable development around the world. And I hope to be able to use what I've learned over the past year in my master's to contribute towards a better relationship between humans and the environment. Lastly, regarding the environment specifically, it is very upsetting to be living with the impacts of the breakdown in the relationship between humans and nature. But my faith in the potential of individual humans to become wiser, stronger, and more compassionate, based on the Soka Gakkai concept of human revolution, gives me a lot of hope. And because I felt myself go through that process, I know that it's possible. I would just like to end my short talk today with a quote from Soka Gakkai International President Daisaku Ikeda, who I consider as my mentor and who places his utmost trust, hope, and respect in the world's young people as the protagonists of change and frontrunners of justice. Sustainability must be understood as a challenge and undertaking requiring the commitment of all individuals. At its heart, sustainability is the work of constructing a society that accords highest priority to the dignity of life, the dignity of all members of present and future generations, and the biosphere that sustains us. Thank you so much.
Everyone, good evening. First of all, I would like to greet you with Om Shanti, which is a greeting of peace, and it reminds us of our true nature, really. So Om is I am, and Shanti is peace. And in essence, I would say that's the focus of the Raj Yoga philosophy, that we really try to return to our original nature, and we do that through meditation. So tonight you will hear a lot of interesting words and concepts, and I thought it would be interesting maybe to have a practical experience. So I would like to invite you to a short meditation, which we could do together now. And it's just a few minutes. And you could close your eyes if you want, if that's more comfortable for you, or you can leave your eyes open. And just find a comfortable sitting position. You don't need any particular position, but just so that your body is relaxed. And consciously allow your body to relax. So you can do a quick body scan if you want. Just check if your feet are relaxed and your calves, your thighs, your back, your shoulders, allow your chest to relax, your belly, your arms, your hands, your neck, and your face. And as your body is relaxed, you may also be more aware of the surroundings. Maybe you hear some birds outside, or you can hear some cars, or people walking. And you notice how all of that is constantly changing every second. 1 second there may be a loud noise. The other second it may be quiet. There's different fragrances in the air. And as you just simply observing, you may be able to notice that you are actually at a state of calmness. And from this calmness, you observe your body breathing and moving, the sounds and changes around you. And yet it is possible to stay in this state of peace, state of contentment, a state of fulfillment. And you enjoy these moments. Appreciate them, value them. When you choose to slowly bring your attention back into the room you're at, and maybe start to engage, you can still operate from that space of peace and contentment, and that will inform your life choices, your actions accordingly. Thank you. So I just wanted to demonstrate how really our state of consciousness impacts everything. The feelings we create, the thoughts we create, and our actions. So that's why if we want to experience a healthy and happy world outside, we also need to experience that inside. Otherwise, we will not recreate that in the outside world. So hence Raj Yoga, that's the philosophy that I'm studying. It's very much focusing on returning to our core qualities, the original qualities of the soul, and just by experiencing those, it will just naturally affect all areas of our life, including sustainability. So thank you very much.
Thank you for taking the time out today. So Zoroastrians believe that everything Hora Mazda created, which is God, is pure and should be treated with love and respect. This includes the natural environment, so Zoroastrians traditionally do not pollute any element of nature, water, the ground, or anywhere really, or the atmosphere either. Many important Zoroastrian annual festivals are held in celebration of the New Year. So we have the New Year, which celebrates nature and the emergence of plants and birth. Then we have the Festival for Water in the summer, the Autumn Harvest Festival of Megan, and the Midwinter Fire Festival and Yoda, which celebrates the shortest day and night as well. Furthermore, all Zoroastrian religious ceremonies require some element of nature in them. So we always have fruit to represent the God's creation of the fruit and vegetables. We have nuts and marrow. We also have water, which represents perfection and immortality. And we also have the fire, another of God's creation. It is felt that in order to be able to make sound judgments leading to good actions, a healthy environment is needed. So good order or usher is to be observed with reference to the earth. And to have good order and righteousness, which is usher, we need to have a good natural environment which will help us maintain and preserve this good order. So much importance in Zoroastrianism is given to making the world a better place, and you can make the world a better place through the environment. So by planting crops, flowers, cleaning the rivers, the oceans, cleaning up our air, it all helps to preserve order and build a better society. This environmental consciousness which pervades the religion accounts for the reputation Zoroastrians have built up as excellent gardeners, who in their ancient Persian empires knew how to irrigate difficult conditions and how to produce abundance where others failed. And Iran was quite a deserty place, and they built little gardens in there with water. They always had an element of water and traditional flowers such as roses, fig trees, pomegranate trees, lots of fruit trees. So Herodotus in his history informs us that the Persians revere the rivers. They would neither make water nor spirit nor wash their hands in them. And in the Vendidad, which is a holy book for us, is a book of laws and advice. It says that agriculture is one of the noblest of all employments, because he who sows grain sows righteousness. And one of the most joyous spots on earth is the place where one of the faithful sows grain and grass and fruit-bearing trees, or where he waters ground that is too dry and dries ground that is too wet. And another note is that the word paradise is a Western word, Iranian language word, which means a garden literally. And so through planting and growing natural trees and bushes and shrubs, we're helping preserve usher and order, maintaining a harmonious society. And this picture in the back is of a cypress tree, which was believed to be planted by the Prophet Zarathustra in Yazd in Iran, and it's about 3,000 to 4,000 years old.
I hope you enjoyed the breakout rooms. I would like to ask to our youth network if we could share some highlights from the breakout rooms, so we can maybe start a discussion from there and also continue with question and answers.
Yeah, so very quickly, we had a great discussion in our breakout group. I think the things that I pointed down was the importance of people's values, the importance of the values that underpin our systems. For example, we spoke about the food production system, and how that's creating like a multitude of problems in society. We spoke about the importance of intergenerational collaboration, and really working together, and the point of fostering youth, so fostering the next generation.
We spoke about some practical means in our tradition, things that we do like in our day-to-day lives. Something as simple as donating like old clothes, for example. Like as soon as you purchase something new, you kind of put something else in for donation. Golzar spoke that in their tradition, I think it's like a fifth.
That's correct. Yes, a fifth of anything that you have not consumed or utilized. You've got more than what you need, in excess, anything in excess, a fifth of it annually needs to be given away in charity.
Which is beautiful. And I guess that was where we wrapped up. But although I just wanted to touch on one question that Bhavesh Desai just put in the chat, where they were asking, can you give me some examples of practical things that your faith community is doing or action they're taking to fight climate change? So something in our, just wanted to comment that our Jain community we're doing currently is a Planting for Peace project. So we've planted like 1,000 trees in northwest London. We started that on the anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi's 150th birth year in 2019, and that's a project that's been continuing. So that's a peace forest that we created in northwest London, and then we've created like little gardens, which we called Ahimsa Peace Gardens, in recreation grounds around our area currently. So these are practical ways that I guess we not only get the community involved, but also help to protect the environment. Thank you.
Thank you for answering it. I'm pretty sure we do have answers from our other speakers as well. Just to point out that I will be sharing contact details. We are happy to receive all the questions that we won't be able to cover here and come back with you, or any feedbacks, any comments as well. Unfortunately, our time is very short tonight.
I think the main tension that we focused on was holding people accountable, or companies, for even past actions, non-actions of faith communities and regarding to the environment. So yeah, there's been a frustration there, and at the same time, how do you use that frustration to not cause a clash? Or it's them that's at fault, it's not me that's at fault. So yeah, the pressure to hold someone accountable, but also to understand where they're coming from in order to motivate behavioural change. That's something that's difficult. That also needs to be understood, right? We need to listen to other people and not construct them as the evildoers. That is just not helpful to anyone.
We also had a really lovely group conversation, and one point that stood out for us was the interconnectedness of things, so of humans, nature, animals, and the importance of sharing. So sharing our energy, sharing our time for a greater good, and also taking personal responsibility. So that was one of the points. And I'm just going to share in the chat as well a link about an environmental project that the Brahma Kumaris is doing. It's India's largest solar power plant project. So I'm just putting it in the chat, and then you can have a look in your own time. Thank you.
We kind of spoke about spirituality, like was discussed by many of our speakers, but kind of using that as a base to actually create action for change for the environment, and kind of the interesting link between all the religions and protecting the environment, and this kind of goal of respecting and protecting. And also, I know Lakshmi will tell you, because she's a big fan, she's a big advocate for, which is planting trees. And how that's sort of a very simple thing that we can all do to reduce our carbon footprint, or kind of equalise our carbon footprint, if not. So we spoke about kind of different initiatives, like the Africa Green Wall initiative, and I think that links in very kind of well to the Planting for Peace initiative that was spoke about within the Jain community. So yeah, it was a really interesting conversation overall.
And Amina mentioned that whatever happens in one part of the world will affect another part of the world, so we are interconnected and we have to be aware of what we do. And then we have Dunya, and Dunya also an interesting point. She mentioned that bridging the gap between this generation with the elderly generation. That was a good point as well. I have some experience and I can relate to her. Then we had Harriet, and I believe she is from Interfaith Network. She joined us to get experience from and learn from us. And finally, Don, and his point was that faith does play a major role when it comes to the environment, and so that's the highlight of my group.
we focus on the question about consumption. And so Jamie pointed out that actually it's very difficult to avoid, but actually faith groups have a real kind of connection to it, the idea of kind of not over-consuming, about sustainability, and it would be good to see more of that, I think, in the wider world. And then also Georgina spoke to us about doing things at simplicity, simply, I'll get the word out eventually, and also doing things kind of with love as well, and kind of focusing on that in our daily lives. So yeah, and so thank you all for in the group. It was a really lovely conversation.
I just wanted to say thank you. It was a wonderful event. I really did not anticipate to have so many different perspectives and all being unified at the core, literally just humanity and the environment and all being one. I really enjoyed the discussions in the breakout groups, and I think we even had room to carry on for another good half an hour. So maybe if the only feedback from me could possibly be maybe it was a bit longer. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Gulzar. Yes, given the time, unfortunately we tried to keep it quite short because we didn't want to tire more you, the attendees, as is a weekday event we are having. But as I said, it's a start of sessions, and we will follow up with more, and we will have different faith groups joining us as well, as we only had 6 of them tonight.
Yeah, it was a wonderful session, and for the first time all of you did very well. I thoroughly enjoyed all of you, David, Dawod, Jaineel, Lucy, Nicole. Everybody was in their own way they were good, and you put that spiritual element in every one of them, and they're well done. Thank you very much, Ada, for permitting me to speak. And I once again congratulate all the speakers for their wonderful presentations, and keep it up.
Thank you very much, Ada, for putting this together, and the Religions for Peace. I think it was a wonderful session, as everyone has agreed. What I really enjoyed was something that Jangir Sarosh has taught me before, and something that I've learned from my childhood, that when light is shone, darkness automatically reduces or goes away completely. And what you have all done today is shine that light of your own inner light so beautifully. And as Reverend Yazarunbala pointed out from the Zoroastrian Trust Funds of Europe, that this common order, what he called Asha, is something that now I think the world is seeing. I come from a mixed background myself, so I've been taught different religions from my childhood. But I think all of you have brought out the fact that the commonality of spirituality and mindfulness, respect, harmony, fellowship, being, as Jamie Creswell said, non-attachment. These are, and being mindful of what we use, are things that are so common to all the faiths and none that science also brings about. So thank you all young people for sharing your wisdom.
Thank you very much for all of your lovely comments. We are very glad that you found it interesting. As I said, and I'm repeating myself, this is the first session. Our sessions are going to continue with different faiths put together, and we will have different topics as well. We would be very much looking forward to also having future collaborations if you are interested.